Okay, and welcome back to this model. Basically, the glue's dried. I've taken the bolt and everything off, so now I'm going to take the cover off and clean the armature and give this a once over. So first things first is we'll get this undone. Bit of red paint in these screws. Get myself a little container. Put all my bits and pieces into. Helps having a magnetic screwdriver at times. So I'm just going to hold it down because I haven't taken the covers off here, which is where the springs and the brushes are. So I'll just hold that like that for the moment. Probably can't see as much, but you can still see what's going on. Just putting the screwdriver underneath the head. And just lift that up gently. And the armature's going to come with it. So carefully lift this off. I'm being careful because there's a wire going across here and I just want to do it so that I don't lose everything. Alright, so there's our brushes on springs. So the brushes have a spring on the top, which looks okay, trying not to bend them or anything, so they look okay. And that looks reasonably clean except for a bit of oil around the edges here, which is fine. Now I can't take the armature out because there's a gear cog on this side, and I'm not going to take that off. Although that could do with, oh no, still alright. Just thinking that it might, that cog might miss that, but no, it's just, if anything, they could do with pushing on just a touch more. Ooh. Aha, I found a problem already. That cog is turning on its own without... Aha, see, that's turning and that's turning. Aha, so that cog has come loose. Oh look, there you go. I can take the whole thing off. Alright, so that's a problem. We have a problem, okay. So I shall carefully pull that out if I can. The force is strong with this one, young Luke. It is very strong. The magnet around there is very strong, which is good. The armature looks okay. Just checking to see that there's not any burnt sections or anything like that. Looks okay. Plating looks okay. So I'll just give that a clean with my fiberglass pencil. Oh, it's coming up beautiful straight away. Look at that. And always when you're doing these, I know for a fact there's a little plastic washer just under there. So always be mindful. It's a little clear one. And there it is underneath the screwdriver, so be mindful of that when you take it out and you do anything to it. Always have a look, and sometimes there is one on here but there's not on this one, so always be mindful of that when you do any of these armature motors. So, and I'm hearing a bit of movement of these armature plates. Oh, it's the plastic underneath that I can hear. So this one's got a piece of plastic under here to separate it from the fibre plate, and then you've got a little brass plate on top, because I could hear with my fingers touching it, I could hear just a clicking noise, and I wondered what the clicking was. It was my fingers moving the plastic underneath, so that's alright. As long as you know what it is, you can understand it. So I'll just give this a good clean, and then I'll check all the quadrants with my multimeter. See all the dirt come off? Look, Look how much dirt's coming off that all over my hand. That's carbon from the brushes, burnt carbon actually, so that looks lovely now. So that looks lovely. See how much stuff's come off it? So I'll just get my multimeter and you put it on the beep. So it beeps like it does. And you go one quadrant to the next, to the next, to the center. No, that's good. Right. This one to this one, to this one. Right, then we turn it around and then we do this one, to this one, to this one, to there. Right, it's good. So I'm very happy with that. That's good. Oh, I just noticed that there's a lot of gunk under there. Whoops. Don't want to pull that rubber disc up, but I do want to get the stuff around the shaft. So that one. And there's not an amount of stuff under that. So clean that off. See, black carbon's coming off. Oh, see, that's dirty. Look how much dirt and stuff's coming off that. And I'll just give in this a clean. And I should be able to, if I can, when I find the right segment. Usually you can pull these off if you get them in the right spot. No, that wheel's in the way. It doesn't matter. I'll get rid of all of that black in there. No. Some of the black around the magnet. It's always good to clean it out. It doesn't hurt to give it a once over because you don't know what somebody else has put in there before you. I know roughly about this because I had this for a very long time. This is one of my oldest locos that I've had over the years, so which is good. Alright, I'm happy with that. Give that a squirt with some isopropyl alcohol. Give that a squirt, and in there a squirt. Let that dry on its own, but I just want to clean that off in there because it had some oil and stuff, yeah. And in there, get my little pipe cleaner. Give that shaft a bit of a clean. That just makes it a bit cleaner. Clean up that extra lubricant, that isopropyl with that. Just makes that nice and clean now. Lovely and clean. Alright. These wheels. Sounds like the kids coming home from school, having their usual fights on the way home from school. Not sure if you heard that, but that's the usual brats. Now I'm not going to take these wheels, these gear cogs off. There's nothing wrong with it. I can see all the cogs, they're all clean. There's no broken pieces and anything like that. So spin it round to get the other side of that one. So they've got there's a circlip on this one here which holds that one on, and then a circlip on this one which holds that one, and then the lower one under here which is under here, and that's got its own little circlip under there, but there's no need to take them off. So, but we'll need some glue on that, so I'll just put some glue on that in a second. So I'll clean that and that's a metal gear, not a plastic gear, so that's nice and clean. As clean as it can be within reason. So yeah, lucky I found that, because I would have put that all together and thought, oh, what's going on here? Alright, so now that all that's clean, I'll put that back in. I'll put a, bit of super lube. Put a bit of super lube on here, because it's a grease, not an oil, which will help it. The grease will help this shaft rotate a bit better than just an oil. And I'll remove the excess on this side. I'll put some super lube on here. Goes the grease with the air pocket. Now when you're putting grease on your gears, don't forget the lower gears. Alright, so here, there's a gear in here, under there. Alright, so don't forget those ones. They all need a bit of lubrication as well. So I've got excess on that, so I'll take all of that excess off there. And I'll put it onto that little gear cog down in there. Alright, so make sure you get the in everywhere that needs to be coated with grease or oil, because one day you'll go and do it and you'll say, oh, I wonder why it's doing this, and it'll be because it didn't have enough grease or didn't have enough oil on it. It's better to be over greased or over oiled than it is to be under greased or under oiled, because that's worse, because not enough grease or oil is worse. Alright, so put some on here. And put some on those cogs. And the drive cog back there. Alright, so I'll spin this around a bit. Oops, careful. Spin this around a bit, make sure that everything gets a liberal amount. You don't want too much, but you want enough so that everything gets coated, and then you go back the other way. Right, now I'll get rid of that bit of grease on there that I don't want. You can always wipe it off, but you can't add it later stage. So it's better to have more than not enough. Because as I said, alright, and then we get a little oil dropper, and we put a bit of oil on there, on that bearing there, or that pin in there, that one in there, that one in there, that one in there, everywhere that, and then we do the wheels. So we go down there, we go down there, and we move it, and we go down through there, in there, and in down there, and then we give it a bit more movement, and then we go back the other way, and see, and give it a bit of a movement on its own that way. Right, help put the grease into everything. Right, now we run it this way. And see, no noise whatsoever. That's what you aim for. Right, and then when I put it back together, I'll oil all the linkages. So I shall put that on. And when it's in the right spot, now this lines up, there's 2 screw holes there and in there, so I've got to line them up because the screws go through and into the body, which hold this casing in place and the cover. So I'm not going to put any oil on this now. I'll wait and I'll put the cover on and then I'll put it on. And this locks into the casing as well, which then also locks everything. So one of these. Oops. And down you go, down through there. And if it's in the right spot, it will, like it does, screw in place. And we do this one. Doesn't want to because of the magnetic force. Alright, so we'll push it down. And there we go. Whole thing's locked into place. Just nip them up. Don't over tighten your screws, as always, like everyone says. Do not ever over tighten screws, because you over tighten them, you can break them, and that's the biggest problem of all. I've got to move this linkage up out of the way. Around you go, there you go. That's that one, that's round the front. And that's that one round the front. So I shall put a very small amount of oil on that bearing there, which will go into the motor, and I shall put another one in that side. You don't want too much on this side because that goes into the armature itself. Alright, now I'll put some isopropyl alcohol into here to give these brushes a clean. That's all I do, is just put in some isopropyl alcohol and just rinse it round. And that's got that nice and clean, and that will clean up the brushes. There's that one, and there's that one. I'll just let them sit there for a moment. Pour that back into that because I recycle it. As you can see, that's all my isopropyl alcohol, and then all the dirt and shit sits to the bottom, and then I just get pure isopropyl alcohol back, and then I clean it and it ends up like that. So you can reuse it. There's nothing wrong with reusing it and cleaning it, whatever you want to do with it, or you just use it and turf it. I don't, because isopropyl alcohol is not cheap here in Australia, so I tend to drain it and strain it and reuse it. So I'm just rubbing the brushes with the springs on between my fingers just to get any extra carbon off them and onto my finger where it's better off. Now I'll take the covers off. I like these covers on these Fleischmanns because they're a semi-press fit. Alright, so there's still plenty of life in that, so I'll put that in, and it's got the brush and the spring all in one, so you just push it in the hole, gently push it down, and then you put the cover on. It's that simple. I will give that a clean. Well, how dirty are they? Doesn't have to have a look. I'd say they're pretty clean by the looks of them. So I will reuse them. So to put them on, I basically hold them with my finger, collect the spring and just push, and it's done. It's as simple as that. Alright, get your next one, slide it in the hole. Whoops, the magnetic field takes charge. Slide it in the hole like that, give it a gentle push, make sure it's going all the way down, which that wasn't. That's better, right? And then hold your cover and give it a push. And it's on, done. As simple as that. And if you want to see what happens, beautiful. Remember, I haven't put the cog on yet. Ockily dockily. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my CA and I'm going to put it on the shaft. Just coat the shaft a little bit with the CA, and then I'm going to push it on with the rounded side to the bearing. And the CA won't have gone off yet because there was nothing there. And I've pushed it on, not all the way. I can still get my screwdriver under that, so that's more than enough, because I want to see how much movement that armature has. So I've put my finger on the back side where the pin is and push it all the way out to see if that is sticking out or can go any further, and that's more than enough for where it is at. So just checking, so I can get my just the blade of my screwdriver under that, and that's about all it needs, because that allows it to move ever so slightly. And we're basically back to being a full running loco shortly. Now this part is the fun part. This is what we call the steam chest, alright? And it has been broken in the past, across there and across there, so I'm definitely going to put some glue on that as well. I'd say someone has got very heavy with their doing their screws up, if you ask me, when they were screwing things together, when they were putting it all together. Someone's got quite heavy-handed with the screw, and this is exactly why we say don't do the screws up overly tight, because there are ramifications. And I just felt that move. I just felt that move. Did that break? No, but it's about very close to breaking. Wow, okay. So I'll just put my glue across the face. And that's why I like this medium viscosity, because I can play with it a little bit with my toothpick, and I can work the glue into where I want it to go. See, now I've got a little bit across the top. I can add a touch more, which will help. Okay. I will also add some across here, because I know that's going to be the next place that breaks. Alright. I'm not going to hit it with the fast dry whatever the activator. I want it to dry on its own, because sometimes the activator makes everything brittle straight away. Well, not so much brittle, it just makes it go off too quick sometimes, I think. Whereas like this now, I can just play with this a little bit and work it into the material. Right, I'm just forcing a little bit of that glue into that crack by gently pushing either side of the piece, and I'm just working that glue into that, and the same with that one. So that's about the same on both sides now, and that will help because that will make a bed. See, and that's made a nice little section of its own. Get a bit more and just wipe it over that to make it a bit thicker, wider area. And if you want, you can use bicarb soda and put onto it as well to make it even thicker and stronger. But I'm more than happy with that at the moment. That's exactly what I want and how I want it and where I want it. So I think I don't want to play with that anymore. I'm kind of happy where that is. So I'm just going to let that sit. Let that CA go off. See, if you use like a medium like that, it gives you working time. Whereas if you use the really thin, what is it, the thin viscosity, right? I very rarely use that because it just goes off too quick. My main one is the medium viscosity and then the medium thick if I want a thicker blend to work a little bit more. But most of the time I'm using the green, which is the cyanoacrylate. Right, it comes in a 2-ounce bottle, 56.8 grams. So, but yeah. And if you're not going to be using them for a long time, put it in the fridge. It's not an old wives' tale, it works. Put it in the fridge. If you buy it in quantities of, like, I don't know, whatever, 2 bottles at a time, 3 bottles at a time, you don't use 2 bottles at a time straight away, put 1 bottle in the fridge, just in the door, somewhere in the fridge, not the freezer, the fridge. And you'll be surprised, it will last twice as long. Alright, so that's nearly gone off. I'll leave that for another couple of minutes because that goes in here where this screw is. So I'll just clean that out a bit. And this is where the fun part begins, because I've got to line up those 2 and those 2. So I've got to line up all 4. Okay. So we go down. And the thing of it is this has got the bracket here, and that's why I've got to be careful of this, because this has a section that bonds into it, which I didn't want to do. Is where I need to take this off now in one piece, hopefully. In one piece, hopefully, being the word. Hopefully, maybe not. Come on, lift up. Hopefully it's bonded in one piece, like it should have, maybe. Seems to have bonded in one piece. But anyway, so I've got to put this, and then there's another one there. So you've got to kind of line it all up, and you've got to line everything up. And that's the problem with that. Get that piston rod in there. That goes in there, and that goes in there. So that's, come on, that's that side. And you've got to hold it, and then you've got to try and get all this in as well. And this arm keeps moving around all the time. There. Right. And this piston arm is the one that is the nightmare. Once you get it in, it's alright. Move that up into there. its little home. Come on, come on, come on, come on. There we go. And you've got to get everything lined up all at the same time. Oh, as well as all that. So I'm going to take this off. Because I've got to get it past the blocks. There we go. And past that to sit down there like it should. And then as that goes there, we should be able to, once everything lines up, there we go. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3 in there, 1, 2, 3 in there, bingo, there we go. And our engine block goes on there, so that little screw goes on that. Okay, don't play the game. Oops. That one goes in there. Just nip it up. That's all I'm doing, is just nipping up to hold it in place. Alright, doesn't need to be super fed. Get rid of that bit of shit on there. Oh, stuff, shit, whatever you want to call it. Right. That's right. And that's now. Right. And that goes on there like so, which holds all of that in place, which goes around everything like that. And then we have that screw goes down the guts. Make sure we're lined up. And we'll just nip it up. Alright. There we go. We're basically got a steam engine. Now we'll put that back in place. Put the blade in first. That blade in there. Then we hold this up like this. And we weave this in and through and under there. I'll do that up gently. I do that up gently. Now I'll tighten that up, and now we've got a working coupling. There we go. And we've got the black tube there and the black tube there, just in front of the footstep. So we are looking good, Houston. I'll just move them forward a touch. Because they are supposed to be forward, We'll show them what they are. Always be very careful moving things as small like this, in case you bend them too much and they break. Woo. Okay. Here we have on the tray. Beautiful little runner. Very slow, like that's flat out. All the lights work, but she's definitely a shunter. Run beautifully. Like that's a crawl. And that's not run properly. That's the first notch. Right, and that's a crawl. When I'll run her in a bit more, she'll be better than that. So yeah. And backwards. Like that's backwards crawl. Might be able to get that. That's just a click of power. So that's beautiful. That's why I love these Fleischmann locos. They are beautiful little engines. You can't beat a Fleischmann locomotive. The way they're put together, the motors, the gearing, everything. You just can't beat them. It doesn't, just that point's a bit dirty, but anyway, there you go. So she's back on the tracks once again. Back the other way. And no, that's not me running video backwards, that's the locomotive going backwards. So there we have it.